Hi, I'm Adolph Oliver, and in this lesson we're going to do a quick review of converting mixed numbers. I've got an example of a mixed number right here, 2 3/8, and what we want to do is convert this to an improper fraction. Well, the process is simple. Just take the whole number part times the denominator. 2 times 8 gives me 16, and then add in what's on top. So I got 16 plus 3 more, that gives me 19/8. Okay, let's go over this idea again. Simply do the following. Take the whole number part in front times the denominator. 2 times 8 is 16, and then add in what's on top up here, the 3, and I get a total of 19. Put it over the same denominator. Okay, well now, that gives us an improper fraction. What do we do if we have an improper fraction and want to make a mixed number out of it? Well, the thing to remember is this is 17 divided by 5. And if you turn around and do that division, okay, the 5 divided into the 17, then we know that 5 goes into 17 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. We subtract this, we end up with getting 2. But now what you do is don't leave that 2 as a remainder. Write it as a fractional remainder. You may remember doing this in the past. 2/5. 2 over 5. Well, there it is. We've converted the improper fraction, 17/5, into a mixed number by dividing the 5 into the 17, but writing the remainder as a fractional remainder. Now, you can often do these things in your head if the numbers aren't too bad. You're doing exactly the same thing we did in the division down here. 5 goes into 17 3 times. There's your whole number part. Well, that's 15. 3 times 5 is 15. That leaves 2 parts left over. Just make a fractional remainder out of those 2 parts left over, and you get exactly the same thing, 3 2/5. Okay, well, let's start looking at some examples of these. Here's the first one. We have this thing as a mixed number, and we want to convert it to an improper fraction. Now, the first thing you want to watch for here is if you can do any reducing of the fraction part, because that will make the numbers smaller and the rest of your work easier to do. We can here. 6 goes into both of these. 6 goes into 6 once. 6 goes into 54 9 times. So what we really have here is 1 1/9. Now, it's just as well to reduce it here because, of course, when you get out to the improper fraction, you would have to reduce it there as well. Many times doing the reducing here will take care of that later on. Well, we still have to make an improper fraction out of this. Remember, take the whole number in part, the 1, times the denominator. 1 times 9 is 9. Add in what's in the numerator, that's 10. And so this gives me 10/9. And we can't reduce that anymore because we did all our reducing up here. So we end up with the improper fraction 10/9. Well, in this next example, we see the same type of thing going on. We can turn around and reduce this fraction. Let's do it now and make the rest of our work easier. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 25 times. So we see that this is the same as 3 1/5. Okay, well, now it's much easier to convert this into our improper fraction. Again, take the number in front times the denominator. 3 times 5 is 15. Add the 1 in the numerator, that's 16. So we end up with 16/5, and we can't reduce that any further. We did all our reducing to begin with. Okay, once again, we can clean things up a little bit. It's not uncommon that you can do this. Of course, you can't do it all the time, but many times you can. 4 goes once into 4. It goes 9 times into 36. So this is the same as 10 1/9. Well, now we can convert that to our improper fraction. 10 times 9 is 90. Add whatever's in the numerator, one more, that gives me 91, and put it all over the same denominator. Now, nothing further can be reduced. We did all the reducing to begin with up there, so 91/9. Okay, 54 over 12. Again, there's some reducing we can do here. Let's see, I think a 6 will go into both of these. 6 goes into 54 9 times. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 goes into 12 twice. So what we end up with here is 9/2. Okay, well, what we want to do in this example is make ourselves a mixed number. 2 again goes into 9 4 times. 2 times 4 is 8. That means there'd be one part left over in the numerator, so we just make a fraction out of that. We end up with 4 1/2. Now remember, this is the same thing you'd get if you took the 2 and divided it into the 9 and wrote the remainder here as a fractional remainder. What we're doing here is just doing it in our head if it's easy enough. If it's not, go off on the side and work it out this way. Okay, next up, 108 over 96. I think we can do some reducing here too. They're both even, so I can do 2 to begin with. 2 goes into 108 54 times. 2 goes into 96 48 times. And look at that. We can still hit it with another 2. They're still both even. So 2 goes into 54 27 times. And 2 goes into 48 24 times. And we're not done. There's a 3 that'll go into both of these. So sometimes you can just keep reducing away, and that's exactly what we're doing here. 3 goes into 27 9 times. 3 goes into 24 8 times. So this original fraction, although we didn't reduce it all in one step, but did it in a number of steps, reduces down now to 9/8. And that, of course, is very easy to make a mixed number out of. 8 goes into 9 once. That leaves one part in the numerator, and that one part in the numerator we write as a fraction. We get 1 1/8. So a lot of reducing here made the rest of this much easier to work with. Okay, one last example to look at here. The same idea going on. We can reduce a 4 into both of these. Let's do it. 4 goes into 40 10 times. 4 goes into 36 9 times. And that looks like we can't reduce it any more than that. So what we've got here is 10/9. That, of course, is easy to make a mixed number out of. 9 goes into 10 once. There'll be one part left in the numerator. We make a fractional remainder out of that. So there we are. We end up with 1 1/9.